No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey everybody, it's the Jaybot Takeover. Thanks for joining us today on the Let's Get Growing show on the Urban Gardener channel. I appreciate you joining us today, especially for most of our audience who tends to be Americans, because it is a super busy, very active day for you. Congratulations. Happy 4th of July to all of you Americans. The reason that I am here is because most Americans are off busy, and I am Jay Dixon, the Jaybot, and today I am taking over from Enoch. And I am usually a facilitator. Most of the things that I do for this channel are backstage and in the chat area, but once in a while I take over as a replacement co-host as Enoch is off doing the right thing, which is celebrating Americans' birthdays today. So congratulations to all of you in America. Hope you're having a really good time, whether in your backyard, at the beach, at some kind of concert, or later today, possibly even fireworks. But I am so pleased that those who are in our audience today have chosen to join us. Today is a really special day because we are going to be taking over. It'll be a slightly different format than most of you are used to. I'm not quite as formal to my format as Enoch is, but I hope you will still enjoy the show today. We are very interested in our audience. We are thrilled that you're here as part of our community, and we want to have your questions later when we have our feature guests today. For those of you who are new to our show, I'm just going to mention that we would like you to like, subscribe, and share to support the show. This show is happening every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And we also acknowledge and want to do a shout out to Team Replay. We are super thrilled for anyone who is either here with us live in the chat area today, using us as basically a podcast because perhaps you're busy in the garden or celebrating things today, or replay, which is people who show up later. And those of us who are joining us after the stream, let us know that you are here by leaving a comment and letting us know what you have growing on. And those who are here today, we would like you to join the conversation by being in the chat area. Normally, I'm quite involved in the chat area, but today we have the services of Bowtie David, and he will be doing different things to try and answer your questions, highlight your channels, give more information, and we are super, super glad for that. And one of the things that we'll be doing shortly is a roll call. So what you're doing in the roll call is letting us know that you are here, where you're growing from, and what is growing in your garden. So you might say, hey, Jay, letting you know I'm here, but secondarily, where are you growing from and what's growing in your garden? And hopefully for many of you in North America right now, that's going to be a lengthy list. Perhaps a different amount from other countries, but we are interested in hearing from you and highlighting your comments a little later with that roll call. And in addition to that, we also want you to drop your questions or comments in the chat. We may be able to feature them in this show. We will also have some links in the description below for various purposes. And we may be updating that after this show because I'm not quite as smooth and professional as Enoch is, having done this, created this show from scratch himself and having done this for years. So I may have to adapt and change some of those links in the description, but please do check those out. And one last thing I'm going to mention is if you have any donations, those are gratefully received. There are costs associated with running the show. And for the direct donations, we have various links, and those are also down below. One last thing, if you want to ever reach Enoch for any reason, this is his email. It is theurbangardener@mail.com. theurbangardener@mail.com. And that might be to see if you can get some Prax-free seeds, Prax cherry tomato seeds. It might be to give guest suggestions. It might be to make comments on the show. Any reason at all, that's how you would reach Enoch. And this is one of the reasons why you might want to contact him, is he is producing, and at the end of the season will have prepared some Prax cherry tomato seeds, and he is good about sharing those and distributing those with people. Okay. So that's what I've got for that section right now. I'm just going to switch over to see the comments here. Oh, already so busy. Fantastic. I am so glad that everybody is here. A little bit later in the show, I'm going to be highlighting you. So just one more round of mentioning this is that we will be doing a roll call, which is essentially where you are and what's growing in your garden. And I will do my best to try and highlight each of you. Again, I am an amateur at this, so please have a little patience with me, but I would love to be able to highlight you here on our show. Okay. So, what I've done, it's a slightly different format today because I'm not quite as techie as Enoch is I'm just going to start us off with a little bit of a slideshow. And what that is me just showing pictures of what's going on in my main garden right now. Those who are familiar with our show and have seen me on the show as both a co-host or a guest or a replacement host at times know a little bit about my garden and my garden situation, but I will really quickly go over it. And if people have questions that want more detail, that's totally fine. I am a fairly experienced gardener. I have a background and did things that were related to being a landscaper, running my own landscape business, just as a sole proprietor. I have worked in market garden type situations where I've basically been the assistant manager and did everything from the hard work right through to hiring people, running the booth, retailing things, processing and working with restaurants, all that kind of stuff. And I've done that on a number of different realms. But I'm in semi-retirement right now, and I'm currently living in a tiny home village in a very rural, quiet kind of area right now. And where I garden, and I will show you guys some pictures shortly, is I garden in a tiny home community. And what we do is people grow a little bit on their properties, but they also have a community garden plot. And I'm fairly involved in that. I am currently not a coordinator or have any status or name to it, but virtually anyone over the last 22 years or so, I spend the most time there. So I'm quite involved, and I try and do different things like keep the public areas tidy. I do things like welcome new people to the garden. I'm sort of a passive security, kind of like I am with Jaybot as a moderator on this channel. But I kind of do that for the garden. And I try to keep my ear out and be open to people so that if they're struggling a little bit with their garden, instead of pointing a finger and saying, how dare you have a messy garden, or, criticism or judgment or any of that, what I try to do is have a little bit more of an open heart to if someone's struggling with their garden, to make them feel that they can talk to me about it. And if I have the strength and time and energy, I try to help them through it so that they are supported in our community garden rather than kind of struggling on their own. And so in that community garden, there's 44 plots. And every year they've gotten tidier and tidier and more people fully utilizing them. And I am super pleased about that. So I'm going to be showing you a few quick pictures of my current garden plot, which again, I'm kind of proud of because it's never looked quite this tidy and organized. I'm only showing you a few snippets. My garden plot, as is everybody else, is small at 10 feet by 20 feet. Don't know that in metric right offhand, but approximately we'll call it 3 meters by 9 meters-ish. And I'm just going to show you some quick pictures. I just realized I need to put a background on so that this will show up. So we'll see if this background works out. Here we go, my garden. This is my, oops, the background didn't work. Just one moment, technical problems due to, it's not going to let me do that. So this is my garden. This is my garden plot at that 10 by 20. This is approaching it from one angle. And you can see I've done different things with vertical gardening, including trellising at a low level. I put planters on the top, kind of balcony style, hanging on the edge. And I have vertical trellises of different types. And this is it from a more front-on angle here, and this is more or less the gate as you walk through to go on. About 90-95% of everything you see there is salvaged, meaning they were salvaged deck boards, they were things that were found in metal recycling. So it is as close to a low-cost, no-cost garden as I could manage for most of it up until recently. And here is, as you step through, you get to see that there are essentially 3 rows and then a back row. And there's other sections up at the front, but this is how you walk through. It didn't used to have galvanized beds like that. That is new and a bit of a commitment I made this year. And there's various different crops happening throughout that whole area, a good range of different things. And they don't usually look this full and healthy. This is new and good to me. And here's as you would look on from the gate at one of the rows. And you kind of see how I've done different levels of trellising, kind of going up and fitting different things through. And again, this is the back trellises, just kind of showing how they're kind of layered upon each other and layers of crops kind of happening throughout. I'm not super organized or fantastic at it, but I do my best as a, as an amateur to try and make good use of the space. And I like to art it up a little bit too. It's not as artied as I'd like, but it will be more artful. And this is a close-up of some of my brassicas. Those are a couple of different cabbages. And you'll notice that I utilize what you might call cramscaping, which means I am plant greedy. And I try to fit in more plants than makes good sense and is probably not even optimal for plant health. But I am plant greedy and want to try and produce as much as I can. And this one right here is one of the rhubarb crops, and it looks a little scantier than it did 2 days ago because I just donated pounds and pounds of rhubarb to one of the seniors feeding programs, like kind of like a food bank type thing, a nonprofit organization for seniors. And I've been regularly providing them with rhubarb for their meals so that they can stay nonprofit and keep the costs as low as possible. And the last picture of my garden is someone, again, was just getting rid of this by the side of the road. It was just a little window box area. And it's not showing very well right now, but there's some portulacas in there which can handle the dryness of that little window box and kind of arts it up a little bit when people approach my garden. I have a couple of those window boxes. So that is the tour of my garden. There's a lot more to see than that. That is my main garden. Now, I also take care of some other gardens, some when people are on vacation, some when people are injured, ill, or recovering from surgery, things like that. I also, there's several people that know that if they can't utilize their garden for the season, they sometimes temporarily loan it to me, and then I use the space to grow things for the food bank. So at this moment, I share some of it with the owners and some of it with charitable food projects. So right now, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other garden spaces that the owners want to maintain possession of it, but for one reason or another in their life, they're not able to do something with it themselves. So I clean it, maintain it, and grow it. And as much of the produce as I can create, I have a few different ways that I distribute that to different people in need, because I don't know how some of you feel, but the costs of food have been rising and rising. The quality of the food sometimes that you see isn't the best. Local organic food is through the roof for a bunch of good and bad reasons. And I want to use some of the skills and knowledge I've acquired to be part of the solution. And so the 3 ways that I currently give, and truthfully, it's all that I can do with my age and disability and stuff like that, is I help the local food bank and donate to them when and as I can. And they will accept any quantity of unprocessed raw food, in good condition. I also help with the seniors' dinners, which is basically a nonprofit organization to twice a month offer nonprofit type pricing to seniors so they can have a communal friendly dinner with each other. And then the third thing I do is, when my health and energy permits, I adopt about 10 households in my tiny village. People kind of quietly let me know of people in need in my community. And then I do what I call curb mart, which is using a yard cart. I fill it full of whatever is my excess produce, and I go around to those 10 households and basically offer what I have spare to those households. And generally speaking, there are people who are in need, but I don't require them to fill in forms or prove anything to me. And there's been a few people I've helped where it's not necessarily an economic necessity, but they're people who could use a little bit of support to feel seen and acknowledged and known in the community. But I don't make a big fuss about whether it's economic or not. I'm just giving spare produce to people in my community. And I try and rotate that list around, if possible, to be different people. And that's the main ways that I give, but there's a few others as well. So that's kind of enough about me. I want to quickly go into roll call. So for those of you who are familiar with our show, I'm just going to slip into that now. So for those of you who have not already put it in our comments, roll call, I'm going to want to know your location, roughly, not your precise location, your location roughly, and what's growing on in your garden.
My name is Kevin.
Yeah.
That is my name.
Yeah.
They call me Kevin.
Yeah.
Because that's my name.
Roll call.
Great. So I'm just going to go into the comments. I'm not going to be as smooth at this as Enoch is, but I will certainly give it a good try. And one of the first comments here is, hooray, Bowtie David, Bowtie Life in the Garden. Triple G, greetings, global gardeners from the heart of Old Destin, where the new bean bed is ready for planting and another round of summer production is preparing to begin. Great. Bowtie David does pop-up lives, prepared lives. He does garden tours, informational videos, and he did a a live this morning. So you want to check out his website, his channel here on YouTube, and check out the live that he did this morning. And so I'm just going to address this quickly. Someone, and I'm not quite sure who this was, says this is not the Urban Gardener channel, and they were confused. Just to be really clear, this broadcast, this live stream that goes out in two different ways. Okay, so you're going to see it on two locations. The Urban Gardener channel, which hosts the Let's Get Growing show, and we also archive it and save it on the Let's Get Growing channel. So two channels on YouTube. Primary channel is the Urban Gardener channel, where we offer a range of different contents, including this. And then this particular show and others of it, of Let's Get Growing, gets archived on the Let's Get Growing channel, which is not really fully utilized. It is more for archival process, and sometimes people accidentally get there, and that may have been what happened. And here we go. Jaybot, woohoo. Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate that. And here's a sneak peek about Muddy Puddles Farm. Hi, David. You were awesome earlier. Your live was awesome earlier. I'm sorry I didn't catch the live Rocket Red Countdown liftoff. Yeah, well, that was I think that was a gift that probably went. So, by the way, we're about to, as soon as we finish this section, we'll be seeing Muddy Puddles Farm, which is Jo, and she is our guest today. And Heart's Humble Homestead, good to see you here. I see you a fair bit on Jo's channel. And Heart's Humble Homestead did their first live a day or two ago. So you want to go to their channel and find that. And I'm so pleased that some of us are working to be kind of incubators so that we're getting people comfortable in the community show and as our guests and as Jo's guests, to start feeling comfortable that live streaming is not too scary, and they start doing it themselves if it's right for them. So we are so pleased with that. And let's see what else we find. And here's Bowtie David discussing the live stream he did earlier. There was on-location programming. If you do a live stream, the buffering he's mentioning here can be a real thing. It's very difficult to overcome, but thank goodness his audience was patient with him and doing his very best to present a good show for us. And let's see. Let's see. Oh, and here's a commentary by Heart's Humble Homestead. It's Kirsty. I still enjoyed it. The pirate was great. Bowtie David, here's a spoiler for you. If you go back on the replay and watch his live stream from this morning, he interviewed a pirate. And surprisingly, it wasn't himself. It was another pirate. And that was Captain Davy, the pirate. He's always a hoot. He's quite the garden revival going on. So that's great. And this is Jo commenting, strangely, it wasn't until the pirate made an appearance that I clocked that you hadn't taken the opportunity to dress up. David and I have a few things in common, and one is that we like to wear silly costumes to cheer people up. So, yeah. And, yeah. So I'm going to go on with that, and we'll see who else is here. Oh, great. Serena, good to see you here again. Pleased that you're with us. And there's all kinds of great comments going on. If I'm skipping over your comments, I'm sorry. I can't continue on the show and not catch every single comment. But thank you so much for being here and participating. Let's see. And Serena's giving different bits of gardening advice to people. Hooray. We appreciate that. And this is a regular. Good to see you here. And Here is Andy from Meg's Edible Landscapes talking to Bowtie. He does a live stream. He being Andy from Meg's Edible Landscapes, he does a live stream, which is at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what it will be for you. And here we go with Robin's Gardens. Hey, good to see you. Hello from steamy Chicagoland. I've had my shower. I've harvested 2 small cukes and eating them while I watch. Oh, yes, nice to have your own. And yeah, some days I live in a very humid area. 1 shower is not enough, you know? Yeah, it's to continue on. And yeah, Serena's giving all kinds of good gardening advice to people, and we are here for it and super happy. And here's a question for me is David's asking, how many living units in your community and how many growing plots? Not enough growing plots. It's a little bit of an issue that we're not fully resolving, but we have 429 living units here of tiny homes. But we only have 44 garden plots. And I've tried for about 15 years to offer to expand if it makes good sense to have more garden plots, to be part of a team or a crew to expand those, even 2 or 3 per year. And I think people are getting more interested, but it's still not happening. Yeah. And again, pardon me, I'm a little slower at going through all of the things. Oh, and here is Muddy Puddles. She lives in Britain, in the UK. So she's translating for us the size of those garden plots. And Heart's Humble Homestead saying such a good use of space. Thank you very much. That's taken me years to figure out some things. And yeah, some very nice compliments in my garden. Thank you. It didn't always look quite so tidy and nice. It's getting better and better year upon year. And to be honest with you, I'm future preparing for aging and disability in place. And what variety of rhubarb? The variety of rhubarb, Andy, is fantastic. I truly don't know. It was actually there when I took the place, and that rhubarb looked so good even after I harvested it because it is just innately excellent. And every couple of years, I subdivided off and Johnny Appleseeded out to other people. But it's so innately good in terms of its own growth patterns that none of the quality of that rhubarb is due to the gardener. It is the rhubarb itself. And one time someone kind of challenged me on that attitude. And what I did that year was I counted how many harvests I made off that rhubarb. 27. I harvested off pounds and pounds of rhubarb 27 times. Now, don't know the name, don't know the variety, did not purchase it. It existed in that plot when I got it, but it is fantastic. And thank you, David, for highlighting other people's channels. I so appreciate that. And Jeanette, glad to see you here. Thank you for the compliment on my garden. I'll take that. And I'm going to try to say this name, Methydicus Albrighticus. Think I got it right. Howdy, good to see you. And let's see. Oh, good. Rob's Attic, good to see you here. Hey. Dusty Flats, good to see you. Overcast, dew points at 75, temperature 77. Need to get, here we go. Spinosade on potatoes as beetles were spotted yesterday. Yeah, we started getting Colorado potato beetles last year for the first time here. Val Thatcher, good to see you here. Hi, everyone from the high desert of southern Arizona. Tomato leaves are curling, beans are growing, and you are fighting squash bugs. Our big one here is Japanese beetles, and I still haven't got the magic formula for having them sorted. She's saying mice or something is cutting down my beautiful peppers. Oh, for us, it's squirrels that kind of do that. So I can't diagnose for you, but for us, it's squirrels. And Dave's doing an excellent job. Bowtie David of Bowtie Life in the Garden is doing an excellent job promoting and discussing things in the chat. We are so grateful for him. And Janet McDonald, hey, Hill Country, Texas in Zone 9B and mid-90s. Wow, more Americans here than I thought might be. I thought you guys might be off doing other things, but maybe you're looking at this as a bit of a break from all your other activities. For whatever reason, we are glad you are here. This is a name that's new to me, 53DNIC. Yo, hey, glad you're here. Glad you found us. And let's see who else. And here's another one. Nope, nope, nope. Glad to see you here again. And Rick Fillion, yay, good to see you. Popped in. Glad to see you here again. And I think that might be it. Oh, and he is in Australia. He's actually in the future, an entirely different time from us. And he's saying Happy Independence Day. Oh, and just sneaking in under the wire for the roll call is Texas Organic TV. So I am super glad to see you here again. Welcome to all. We are grateful that you are here with us today. The reason that we do this is for community and for you. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to discuss during our show, we will do that. Just before I switch out to our first break, Andy from Meg's Edible Landscapes says, Jay, how about Jaybot's heritage rhubarb? Possibly, except that truthfully, I didn't, it would just happen to be there. So how much can I claim? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll give that some thought. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just send us away for our first break. Stay with us because I'm going to be introducing our guest today. And we are so grateful that you're here with us today. I'm just going to take us into our first ad break.
Hello, let's get growing live gardening community. I'm Charles Malky, biologist and co-founder of Ivy Organic brand products. Ivy Organic is based on whitewashing, a time-tested way to protect plants from summer sunburn, winter sun scald, pests, transplant shock, and environmental stresses. Unlike latex or tar-based products that crack, peel, and leave residue on your soil indefinitely, Ivy Organic is truly organic and a healthier alternative. It dries on porous, allowing plants to breathe and heal naturally without rotting. Also ideal for protecting your pruning and grafting wounds. Available in white for maximum reflection or natural tones like brown, green, gray, and grayish. Ivy Organic protects while blending beautifully with your landscape. Choose from the whitewash oil-free formula or the 3-in-1 plant guard made with natural oils to help repel insects and rodents. Protect your plants the smart, organic way with Ivy Organic. Learn more at ivyorganics.com and wishing you all happy gardening.
The Jaybot.
Hey everybody, we're back. So thank you so much for joining us today. We have an excellent show ahead of us. We have a fabulous guest from the UK, and I am thrilled that she has joined us today. Sorry, I'm an amateur at this, but my name is Jay Dixon. I'm the Let's Get Growing facilitator. If you stopped in partway through our show, it's the Jaybot Takeover. Enoch is having a bit of a break today, and I'd like to welcome in our guest. This is our main guest today, and she's been on our show before. She is a delight to talk to. I am so pleased she is with us today. Please welcome our special feature guest today, Joe from Muddy Puddles Farm.
Hi.
Hey, Joe.
I see you. And I just say happy 4th of July to all our American friends right at the start.
Yes.
I hope you're having a wonderful day.
Yes, I'm actually a little surprised that we have as many Americans in our audience today, which we usually do. But many people expressed they had personal or public things they were planning to do. And I'm so pleased they have chosen to take a break from that to be with us today.
Excellent.
Great. I am so pleased that you are with us today. I have a whole range of different questions. We have a few questions for you, as well as a few photographs, and I am super pleased with that. I'll let you be in charge of this part. Would you like us to start with questions or start with the pictures? Which way would you like to go?
We can start with the questions. Some of the pictures kind of refer to some of the questions you sent me anyway.
Okay,
so maybe
super.
they go as we go through.
Okay. So I'm just going to start with this. Joe has been on this show before, and I have interviewed her. However, some of you may not have met her or watched that particular episode. So a couple of the things that we're going to be discussing may be slightly repetitive if you've seen that, but we're just going to be brief and cover some of the things so that new people will know a little bit of Joe's history, and away we go. Okay. So how did Muddy Puddles Farm begin?
From the start, I've been looking for land for a really long time, but it got its name because literally the first year we got it was a really, really wet winter, and it just became an impossible quagmire. When I first got the land, it wasn't in the best condition. It had been worked with heavy machinery and heavy cattle. So as soon as the rain came, everything was mud everywhere. And so we started going, I'm going to Muddy Puddles again. I'm going to the Muddy Puddles again. And then that became the farm name. So that's how that's where the name came from.
I think if I had to name my place, I would call it Crap Sitting Around, because there's lots of unfinished projects. It's kind of all over the place, not quite as organized and stuff as they should be. So yeah, that would be the quaint name for my place. So what inspired you to become a grower, to put this energy into your life's focus?
Well, I grew up in smallholding. There is a photo I sent you of me being a very small girl with the goats and in one of the back pastures. And I didn't really realize that that's what I wanted to do until we had to move away. And once we moved away, I missed it incredibly. And I've just always been trying to get back to have that little bit of land to grow food on, to do some farming and produce healthy food for myself and my family.
Would you like me to show that picture now, or
if you want to?
It's going to blip us out.
So that's me in front. It's so strange. I was about 3 at the time, and I remember this picture being taken, and my uncle took the picture, and I'm stood by my parents there. But we had the goats out, and we were quite new to farming there. My parents had bought that farm about 6 months earlier, and so those were our very first livestock. There were 3 goats and some rabbits.
Great. Okay. And I do apologize that I'm unable to figure out how to make the white background block off the format for YouTube versus a conventional landscape photo. It's I've tried, but it's a little beyond my capabilities right now. So yes, people are just going to have to be grasp the idea that I'm doing my best. So what was the biggest challenge when you were doing this in your first year? What was?
I tried to get everything done in one go.
Woo!
Yeah. So the livestock arrived, the garden got started. I was trying to put in infrastructure. So the borehole had to go in, the solar system had to go in. That was the biggest challenge. And in hindsight, it was probably a bit too much, alongside maintaining many hundreds of meters of hedgerow and putting in a 2-acre woodland at the bottom. It was all a bit much. And I think also the distance. So we've only moved here a year ago. So initially when we first owned the land, the distance was also really tricky too.
Okay. So this next question is probably going to relate to that, but what would you do differently if you started again?
Start slower, be kinder to myself. I think because I've waited for so long and I've made so many plans, I thought I was being conservative, but I clearly wasn't. And I think I would just start slower. In fact, actually, some of the process this summer has been winding things back and going, okay, I did have this, I'm going to have a mad year and try everything and see what works and then thin from there. To have an experimental year, which was great. But yeah, this summer, I'm just beginning to pare back and consolidate and just choose a few prime projects to concentrate on. That's the plan.
Okay, great. Thanks, Robin, for that. I didn't know we had cheerleaders here, but I am here for it. Very pleased. The Jay and Joe show. Fantastic. I'll talk to Enoch about that and see if we can make an adjustment there. Unfortunately, Rick is moving on. He had to just do a quick pop in, but we are so appreciated. And here's a number of people saying hi to you. Here's Kirsty from Heart's Humble Homestead. She has been a guest on Joe's show a few times, and she is saying hi to you. And Rob, who has actually, I believe, Rob's actually visited you at your farm or nearby or something?
A couple of times, yeah, a couple of times. It's nice making the connections over YouTube and meeting the community. Rob is one of there have been a few people, but Rob is one of the people that have been to visit and returned, so it couldn't have been too terrible. It's nice. We chose semi-consciously not to film any of it, to have like a real meeting and not all, big content all the time. So we decided that it would be nice just to spend some time talking about gardens and not for the views, just for the love of gardening.
Well, some of people have mentioned for a few years now, I've been a facilitator for a number of years in a number of channels, and a few people have mentioned to me, oh, so why don't you become a content creator? Why are you not filming your gardens? Why is your channel not more developed? I have a pretty darn good idea of what it takes in order to do that. And I'm not saying I fully know. I'm telling you I am not a content creator except for stepping in once in a while like this. And it's both easier and more difficult than you'd ever think. And my life and my lifestyle and stuff is such that I would rather be a supportive person for other channels and trying to help them the best I can rather than being a content creator myself. I may change my mind at some point, but that's definitely not a thing right now. And here's Jeanette letting us know that it is 101 degrees in her garden. I'm guessing Fahrenheit, not Celsius, in CT, which I guess CT is probably Connecticut, I'm guessing. Pardon me, Canadian, but I believe that's correct. It's nice in the AC cooling off. Oh, yes, I'll tell you. As I've aged, I think because I spent so many years out of doors and, running gardening businesses and having a cycling touring hobby and stuff, I got heat exhaustion quite a number of times. And I think my thermostat is now broken. So I hug the central air like the life-giving thing that it is to me in the hot weather now. So I definitely get what you were talking about there. I can actually only work the shoulders of the hot days, meaning very early or very late. And midday is a suffering hard time if I have to be in the garden. So, but on the positive side, each of us start learning, how to, what is a priority and how we're going to work things out and how we're going to garden safely and effectively. And here's MKP, who is normally a regular here, saying it's 100 degrees with shade cloth all over the garden, and I didn't lose any plants. Oh, great. Okay. Yes, I am actually for the first time starting to consider things like shade cloth in my garden, because it is just gotten difficult, even though we're in the north. And let's just see who else is doing some comments. I am, if I've missed your comments, please forgive me again. I am doing my best to catch up. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Dr. Leave Me Alone. Good to see you here again. Meg's Edible Landscaping. Heat exhaustion is no fun. I've had it repeatedly, several times. You can extrapolate from that how bright I am if I didn't prepare and notice the symptoms each time. But sometimes there were work pressures. When I was running a landscaping business, at times I was working 16-hour days, and a certain amount of work had to get done. And I am glad that I don't have those pressures anymore. So I think that catches up on most of the new people that have in. And just one more thing, Robin Gardens, AC and a personal fan blowing straight at me. Absolutely. Yes. And here's someone saying, actually, the north is hotter than I've ever experienced. Oh, really? Wow. I've been in a few desert areas, and I was like a fish out of water, like gasping, because I've spent my whole life living in an area that's super humid, 90 to 100% chance of humidity in my area. So I am a little bit like a fish with gills. So desert areas kind of knocked me right out. And just a quick little happy 4th of July from Serena. So I just wanted to cover that. And we're just going to go back to the notes that I've made here. So if when you go to your farm, and your farm is on a separate property from your current residence because of the types of buildings and stuff present that are currently there, what does a typical day look like when you're going from your regular residence to go out to the farm?
It usually starts with animal chores. So the very first job is to make sure everybody's got water, particularly this time of year. It's topping up all the water barrels and then making sure everybody's had their breakfast and feed. And from there, it varies from day to day. I've tried to, rather than spread myself too thin, have a day of mowing or a day of weeding or a day of harvesting and sowing, rather than being driven in lots of different directions, doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It seems to be more effective. So I would probably spend a good 3 hours or so gardening, stop for some lunch, double check everybody's still got water because animals knock water over and things like that, stop for a spot of lunch, and then review and try and do something that's, so the morning I try and get maintenance done, and in the afternoon I try to do some infrastructure so that I'm making steps forwards, not just standing still. So it'd be building a new bit of a chicken run, planting in a new hedgerow, could be building a new bed. So I try to do an infrastructure job in the afternoon, and then the day completes and rounds out with a good walk around to assess, ready for the next week, the next day, what is going to be my priority for the next day, and then again ensuring all the animals have their food and water for overnight, and then I go home.
So one of those infrastructure projects might be, I don't know, repairing a fence that Kevin might have helped.
That happens a lot. Yes. Lots of Kevin repairs. He has taken down lots of fence posts, and my lovely gated chicken area up at the top shed that I had came a cropper. Just fence, but people go like, oh, why don't you put fence in for Kevin? All because he'd walk straight through it. is the answer to that. Yeah, he's to be reckoned with, that boy. But yes, so it's either building or improving a chicken coop, repairing something Kevin's broken, but I primarily try to put something new in. So over the winter I put in the new willow dome which is
Okay.
meant to be a community area for people to gather and sit and rest in. It's in its early days yet, but Rob availed himself, had a nice little seat there and a chit chat in an afternoon. I've tried to put in lots of windbreak willow hedgerows as well over the winter because it's material I had on hand. It's mostly putting in hedgerows and digging swale ditches and those kind of primary, really quite boring things, but they actually make the farm work.
So since you've mentioned hedgerows, they're not really a thing here in North America. Some people do utilize them, but they're much a bigger thing in the UK than here. Could you just maybe explain to people what are you doing by making a hedgerow?
So traditionally on the farms where there was no building material to make walls and stock fencing, because farming here started hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and people needed to boundary their animals, they would dig a ditch and pile soil and make about a metre high mound of soil, and then they'd densely plant into that lots of hedgerow plants, things like hazel, willow, sometimes oak, beech, lots and lots of different trees, wild cherry and things like that. But what they actually do is they cut the stems and lean it over and then weave it together, and it makes a stock-proof fence for free, because all those saplings and things are on the land. And so pretty much all the farmland in the UK has these amazing dense hedgerows, and every now and then you'll hear a farmer talk about laying a fence or laying a hedge, and that's a really interesting old skill from medieval times, maybe even before that, where they actually remodel and rejuvenate a hedgerow. The ones I've put in aren't as complicated with the big ditches because it's just me and my shovel, so I've tended to just plant, but they're within the boundary of the farm. And one of the things I've studied is the wind effect. And a windbreak hedgerow is effective for a maximum of about 20 metres beyond it. And so in a growing space where you want to protect your crops from the wind, you need a hedgerow approximately, the widest it could be, so 20 metres from the hedgerow. So then you've got a hedgerow 20 metres in the middle of the field, and then in another 20 metres you would need another hedgerow for large scale growing, not mechanical farming, obviously, because what I do is very different. So I'm getting all those hedgerows in to try and slow the wind down, being on the coast. It gets very, very blowy where I am. So.
Yes, we hear that in your videos at times. Overcoming the technology, the wind is trying to outshout you a lot of the time.
Yes. Well, there are some days where I can't film because I'm leaning into the wind too much, and you can't breathe. The wind is so strong that you can't. It takes your breath away. It's quite different. Potent.
Yes, certainly different than my experience in my area here. How has your farm evolved over the years since you've gotten it?
Oh, goodness me. Well, it's gone from rough pasture with the tractor doing all the maintenance, mechanical hedgerow cutting and spreading. I was very fortunate. It's never had anything chemically spread on it. The farmer that was using it had been spraying animal manure on it so the animals go in and feed and the manure gets spread, or they cut it for silage and then the manure gets spread. So from that point of view, it's clean, organic land. So that was really fortunate. What I've done is alleviate the pressure on the land from, the really heavy cattle, the really heavy machinery, allowed nature to take over in quite a few places to get the roots down a lot deeper and to give the land the chance to decompress and become more of the sponge that it wants to be. And then from there, obviously, it didn't have any gardens, so I've put in on contour as many gardens as I can manage, I think.
So the next couple of questions I have to you is relating to crops. So we'll discuss them, and you let me know if you want me to integrate any of the photographs that you provided.
Okay.
What are your favorite crops to grow and why?
Oh,
I know.
there are so many. I know. I've talked a lot about my rhubarb this season.
Okay.
I don't know if I sent you that picture or not. If it is, you can pop
Not
that one
sure.
up. But
I was hurrying, and I'm not very techy, so I was just
Don't
told
worry.
to have pictures in the right space, so I wasn't evaluating.
Don't worry. So the rhubarb I have, and I've talked about it a lot on my videos. My great grandfather was what everybody in Victorian times was a gardener, because very few people had enough money to buy their own food. So he had this rhubarb, and when my grandfather left home, he took a chunk of the rhubarb. And then when my dad moved to Cornwall, that's my rhubarb.
Yes.
My dad took a chunk of rhubarb, and in 2009, my dad was terminally ill, and I went to nurse him, and he was like, I know your mum's not going to be able to manage this 5-bedroom farmhouse when I'm gone. So the house and the garden going, let's dig up the rhubarb. And it was kind of risky because it already started growing. It was the end of March, and we both went out there knowing as gardeners that, it's really totally the wrong time to dig rhubarb up, but we dug it up and it survived. And so that's my family's heirloom rhubarb, and I don't know which variety it is either. I'm imagining it's probably something like a Victoria.
Okay.
Something like that. But I don't know for sure. It's a very thick-stemmed, old-fashioned rhubarb. What it would be? It's been around for more than 100 years. So yeah.
Wow. I also have a couple of other pictures relating to crops and things. So it's going to blank us out for a second. Here is your fields. Wow.
So this is the new annual vegetable bed that I created just this season. It wasn't supposed to have grass paths, but they've grown, and I'm mowing them, and it's fine. They should have had wood chipped down, but that's just one of the things I've had to be more relaxed and just go, I'm just going to let it go. Just going to let it go. But yeah, so even though it's an annual vegetable garden, I've tried really hard to not have monocrops in there. So everything's kind of jumbled up and chaotic. So there's calendula, and in amongst the calendula, there's everything from kales and cauliflowers and cabbages to beetroot and chard, all sorts muddled in there, very hidden. My peas are also in that bed as well. I think the only thing that's monocrop at the end, there are some wigwams that have gone up, which will have my pole beans on. But even there, I'm thinking ahead. Inside each of those wigwams, I planted a tiny apple tree.
Okay.
So that's the pole beans are protecting the apple tree from the really strong winds until they get established. And then when the pole beans come out, the apple trees will be left behind. But all growing through that, there's nasturtium and there's squash, like summer squash growing all through. Everything there, the leaves hidden.
So I'm just going to ask you another question. If it leads to some more of these photos, that's great. It's still about crops. Of the crops you've grown, which one surprised you the most?
Oh gosh, I've had good and bad surprises actually, and surprised me the most. So a good one for me is just the size of the squash I grow. Last year I had some beasts. I bought some, mini pumpkins, and they turned out to be, I think the largest one was 30 something kilos. So just the size that they seem to grow in the field. And I guess after 100 years of cow manure growing, being spread on the ground, it's got to be fairly fertile and pretty good soil. The other thing that surprised me, not in a good way, is I seem to really be struggling with parsnips and carrots here. Okay. And I've never had that before. I've always just thrown the seed in. As long as it's watered for the first 2 or 3 weeks, they've gone and done whatever. But here in particular, they're not doing very well, which
Oh,
I've not
dear.
experienced before.
Well, parsnips are also, in my opinion, a reticent crop. Like, to get it established and get it growing, in my experience, has been a tough thing as well. So I don't know if anybody in the audience has any opinions about that, but parsnips in particular have been a difficulty for me. Cucumber is the one for me. It is my arch enemy. I don't know why. I've never done anything knowingly to a cucumber, as far as I know. Although recently I've been trying some straw bale gardening in one of the other garden plots. And straw bale gardening is new to me, and I'm not good at cucumbers. And I chose to sow a lot of cucumbers, and please don't come at me, folks. I transplanted cucumber plants. They do not like their roots disturbed. I took a chance, and I planted those into the straw bales so that they could cascade down as they grew. Well, I can tell you through several rounds of sacrifices, and I'm sorry, cucumbers. I am truly sorry. I won't do this to you again. It did not work out. So I had to figure out what fast-growing crop could still potentially go in there that would take the, I don't know what you call it, ineptitude, carelessness, whatever of what I was trying to do in there. So now I have squash in there, and I've done a mix of a couple of different types. I don't know if they're going to be happy there or not. Straw bale gardening is totally new to me. As a gardener, I like to take on a couple new challenges every year. And quite frankly, I'm learning from YouTube University about what is the right thing, because nobody around here has ever done it. So I'm a little pioneer in that way, trying to do different things, and not all of it works out. So I'm just going to show a couple more of your pictures. And here is, sorry, same one. Sorry
It's the
about
same
that.
one. It's okay.
We get to see it again. And let's see what this one is.
I'm at least going to get a lot of onions. I think predominantly in there you can see there are a lot of onions. So this, it's not straw bale gardening, but rather than hilling up with soil, I have chosen to hill up with straw because my soil's heavy clay, so it's hard work to hill up with clay soil. And I've got a free source of straw because the farm where I purchased my large bales, if a bale breaks on the floor, which it often does, or bits just fall out, I can go and scoop all that up as much as I want and throw it in the trailer and bring it home free of charge. So while I'm there collecting my straw bales that I need for bedding for the animals, the good clean stuff, I always scoop up lots of the free straw as well. So it's more of a Ruth Stout method, like deep straw. They're due to have a load more straw piled on them, but it's great because your potatoes come out clean. You don't have to, you don't have to worry about the dirt on them, because washing potatoes you dug up makes them not last very long. So it's nice that you get good clean potatoes, and you don't have the effort of digging so much. You're just literally rooting through the straw, which is nice.
I've heard of it, but not done it yet. Dusty Flat says squash beans and cukes are slow here. They are starting to kick with the heat. The corn surpassed the knee high of a tall person. So there we go. There's some of our measures. A question for me from Rob is, did you treat your straw bales? Okay. So let's just say any advice you are getting from me about straw bale gardening, double, triple check, because I'm a newbie at it. So I'm learning from basically what I call YouTube University and different websites and stuff to attempt to do the right thing. I am not an expert on how to do this. My understanding is that you spend weeks before you actually utilize the straw bale to basically precondition them. So you do things like I used a mallet and first of all, the straw bales were a donation. They were going to go fill a dumpster. They were a decorative project from a recreation committee. And I said, this is very strange, but may I please have your straw bales? In our area, approximately 90% of all straw bales, maybe even a higher number, are ones that have been treated by herbicides. And the reason that they do this is for sensible production in the industry, meaning broadleaf herbicides are utilized in the grain crop so that the grass that it is grows up without broadleaf interactions, like interferences in the field. So I'm not defending that. I'm just saying that's an economic reality of people trying to do that business. And we have tons and tons of that all the way around us. Corn, beans, and straw, as far as the eyes can see, all around our whole rural area. But the broadleaf herbicides, which the $50 word for you is aminopyralides, okay? Those broadleaf herbicides tend to stay in the product. And those broadleaf herbicides can kill what is in your garden. Will it kill it? Maybe, maybe not. But the thing is, it has that potential. So the straw bales sat out in the weather in an area where they would cause no harm if they were leaching off, to help age out and have them in that condition for about 6 months. Then I did the preconditioning for the straw bales, in which I pounded a stake in to make a hole in the top. Then I used nitrogen, a natural source of nitrogen, to both soak the bales with a lot of water, and then use nitrogen in those holes. And you do that for a minimum of about 14 days, 10, 14 days. In which you're basically preconditioning that area. Essentially, you're doing a rapid version of breaking it down so that you actually have that whole area. And then instead of it being just a pure carbon source, which the straw bale is, it's starting to break down to be a little bit more neutral of a place for your plants to be able to grow in. And then what I chose to do, as best I understood, was I crammed in a whole bunch of soil, not packing it too tight, because the plant's got to have, a certain amount of life in it. And then first I tried seedlings, which you guys know about the cucumber plant genocide that I did. I am sorry. Sorry to the cucumbers again. I'm doing my best. I won't hurt you again. And now I'm doing seeds because if I put squash in there, they're likely to get to full maturity, which is a question for us here in Canada. In my region, now you need to think about the 60, 70-day limit to get to full maturity for your plants, to have them fully do what you hope for them by frost. So yes, I did an elaborate set of preconditionings and processes. Will it be fully effective? I don't know. It's a bit of an experiment. Even if it's not fully effective this year, they will be preconditioned and functioning okay for now, and could still be a better place to next year to grow in. So it's a certain degree of success no matter what. Yay, we didn't have a dumpster full of a good product that could be utilized. I also did some bioassays based on something that Big Mill Dog in the Soil, who's a regular here, he did bioassay. I watched his videos, and essentially a bioassay is a $50 word for test your straw to see if it's leaching out stuff so that it's not going to ruin either your soil or your products. And there has been good, excellent gardeners that I know of in the garden world who have lost everything from getting those broadleaf herbicides from straw, and it leached out and caused so much chaos from them. Not an, oh dear, what will I do? I mean, close to ruination. So I'm a little cautious. About it. So it's sitting on a pathway. It is so many feet away from raised beds. It is not Chicken Little, oh no, it's going to get me in a big way. But it means I'm going to be cautious, because it took me 20 years to build up my fairly good soil. I don't want to muck it up too bad, Now, the straw bales, you're going, well, why did you waste, that energy and stuff on straw bales? Because it's an excellent resource. I just have to consider a cautious use of it and making sure it, first do no harm, and then gradually use mine as a resource. Organic non-herbicide corn, straw is almost unknown here. Yeah, it's super hard to get it. And some people tell little fibs about whether their stuff is that. And not naming any names or anything, but it can be a thing. So yeah.
So there's a couple of thoughts I had on that. First one being, if you want to test something like straw bales or even compost you get or horse manure, the thing that is most sensitive to those persistent herbicides are things like peas and beans. And so you can put it somewhere safe and out of the way and trial peas and beans, and that will very quickly give you an indication if they grow, your product is going to be safe. Another thing,
containers of peas.
Yeah. And then the other thought I had was when conditioning the straw bales, I've done it before, but with chicken manure because I had it. So why buy a product when you've got organic, good nitrogen on hand? And I did that by mixing a watering can or a bucket with really lots of chicken poo and stirring it in well and then watering it. And to know when it was ready, I actually used a compost thermometer because it's super heated, like probably more than it should have, and just waited for the temperature to cool down. And I did that back when I had a small garden and not very much money, and I couldn't afford the raised beds. But I wanted raised beds because I had dogs, so I didn't fancy them digging or weeing or pooping anywhere near my crops. So I wanted something up. So I got straw bales and I conditioned them. It was actually in a part of the garden that dogs didn't have access to anyway, but I just thought, the kids leave the gate open because kids do that. It just made me feel comforted. And that was a really good way to get a raised bed for a year or two. That was much cheaper than buying a raised bed. And it was a good way of conditioning the bales with no additional cost. So.
And from our audience, Robin Gardens and Rob's Attic is both commenting that Steve Digwell Green Figures has some of the best instructional videos on straw bale gardening. So I did not find his stuff. I have heard of his name, and I will look it up to see how I can learn how to do it better. Just a quick reminder, because you guys are being so beautifully active there in the chat, if you can put questions in all caps, it's so easier for me to find as I'm trying to do this and look through, because if you have specific questions or comments, I don't want to try to miss out. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate what you've, what you guys are saying. I'm rich in comments, so many of them that I need to kind of filter a little bit through. So yes, I'm doing my best learning about them. I did use, I'm not sure how many people are going to be comfortable with this, but we'll call it a natural personal source of nitrogen in order to condition my straw bales. Not everybody's going to be comfortable about that, but you can look it up and it is a valid way to try and condition it. You have to just know a few things about it, but that's a way to do that. And that was the choice that I made. So, yeah. Okay, so let's just go back to the notes. Okay, so can you give any kind of discussions about what you did to make the soil healthier? Like it was obviously.
It was.
What are you gradually trying to do to make that soil healthier?
So there are several parts to that. First of all, it's cow pasture, so it's full of couch grass, it's full of creeping buttercup, it's full of thistles, and it's full of dandelions. They're all the yay weeds. And so to get rid of those, there is a lot of mulching, there's a lot of chop and drop. So the first thing I did was put down a tarp because I wasn't present. The next thing I did was plant absolute tons and tons of green manure and cover crops. And I do that every year, every bare space, every time. Even if I think this, I need that in a month, I'm not going to get a full cover crop. I get something growing in that space. So I throw it down, and then I'll either mulch that cover crop back in, even if it's come to fruition, or chop and drop it, because as much organic material as we can get into that soil, the better. It opens up the soil and makes it sponge-like, and it's just increasing that organic matter. Keeping anything large and heavy off the soil is also really important to allow it to open up and become that sponge again. Sorry.
So you're increasing fertility without any synthetic inputs. You're using natural methods.
Yeah, and I've tried to use, primarily I'm using Phacelia and buckwheat and vetch and linseed, because they all have really good flower heads that attract the beneficial insects as well. So I'm trying to get 2 uses out of all my cover crops. I use a lot of clover as well. There's so much clover on the farm, of the crimson clover, the white clover, and the regular purpley clover as well, because that again is nitrogen fixing into the soil. But the bumblebees absolutely love the clover too, and it's just trying to get multiple uses out of it. So I'm getting the soil covered and safe from evaporation. I'm adding the biomass. I'm getting in the beneficial insects, and then I'm also increasing the nitrogen in the soil with things like the clover, which is in the legume family. So I'm trying to fill multiple slots with one action.
Okay. Yes. So you don't exhaust yourself and you're accomplishing several things with one effort. Yes. I was wondering how you manage your weeds naturally. You certainly talked about mulches of different things, and I believe you're talking about chop and drop. Is there anything else you might have to add to how you manage weeds?
For me, the most important thing is not allowing them to go to seed. So I spend a lot of time deadheading things and taking them up. As much as possible, I pull up as much as I can of the really invasive taproot weeds, and as much as I can of things like the creeping buttercup, because they just are relentless, those ones. But what I found, because weeds are pioneering species, they like poor soil, they like dry conditions, they like all the things the opposite to what we want as gardeners. And as my soil improves, they become easier and easier to pull out.
Okay.
And I've got several shorts on my thing where I've gone, look, look how easy this. And I'm pulling up, and I've got this massive thistle. It's 18 inches tall, and it looks like a really big, strong green plant. And I pull it up, and the root's about a third of the size of the top of the plant, and it's all spindly.
Okay.
Well, that's because the soil has improved that much. It doesn't need to go down to find the nutrients. So by being kind to it, I've weakened it. It's got lazy and flabby, and it's not performing the way a weed should. And there I can pull it up. It's got a little tiny taproot, because once it's grown down that far and it's got all that nutrition, why does it need to go any further? Okay. The same as why we don't put too much fertilizer on our carrots. If it gets that far and it's got everything it needs, it's not going to go any further. And so by good soil management, you're kind of putting the weeds out of the job. You're bringing that succession on a bit quicker. But I do tap roots, pull them, and then we'll mulch over. And it'll take them a lot of effort to get through that mulch and up again. And then the next batch of them I have are going to be weaker, and then weaker and weaker. And eventually, hopefully, crossing my fingers, I'm hoping that they will be less of a problem.
Yes. A concept that was fairly new to me that some of our audience may be quite familiar with, and they may laugh at me about this, but it was nothing in my background that I was ever familiar with, is how specific weeds in specific locations are basically an indicator crop. Those weeds are trying to send you a message by being where they are, when they are there, and how successful they are. They are trying to tell you things about the quality of your soil, what nutrients are abundant or lacking. And there's ways to look that kind of stuff up. I haven't explored explored this yet, but basically weeds are almost like semaphore, like flag,
They are trying to repair the soil. They are what they call the pioneer species, and what you'll find with things that have the really long tap roots, there's not much nutrition in the top of that soil that's accessible all the time. So they're bringing the nutrition up from down below.
Okay.
On my soil, it's quite nutritious, but actually it can dry out quite quickly because it was very compacted when I first arrived. And because we've had several droughty years, it's left this opening for things with tap roots. There's a really good guy up in Canada, Stephen, I can never pronounce his name. But he does beyond his line is beyond organic, and he has an orchard up in Canada, and he runs the NAPS, is it NAP? Nitrogen Fixer Apple or Plum Pear system. You can look him up. Savalwak, I think I want to say, but I don't know if that's absolutely correct. Okay. And he has a whole series of nettles are an indicator of, dandelions are an indicator of, and you can go and look at those all up. So if you're struggling with a particular weed, he will have all the answers.
Good.
It's very insightful.
Yeah, it was a different way to look at it. Instead of just going, oh, why do I have so many weeds here? And just pulling them and getting frustrated. Yes, you still want them gone, but the concept of these are trying to tell me something about the compactedness, quality, or whatever of my soil. And if I could just listen for a minute, do a little bit of research, it's trying to tell me roughly what my soil may need and the recipe forward to repair the soil.
Yeah.
I love that.
And they're mining the nutrients from down where the other plants can't access them. So I use them to feed other plants, and everyone goes, you can't put them on. I don't put them on my compost. I have a big bucket with a lid, and I put all my things like dandelions in there because they're so nutritious. Even eating them is really beneficial for us. But I put all my nettles in there as well. And then I cover them with water. Okay. And then I cover it and I just wait until everything in there has turned quite horrible and sludgy. And then I strain it out. And the strained material goes on the compost, and it's like a liquid feed, like a comfrey feed. Or sometimes I throw some comfrey in with it. Brilliant and usable.
Okay, great. Staying on how to basically improve our soil, but the last question that's going to be in that series, does composting play any part in anything that you do there, or is that not a thing?
It does. So I made a whole cubic yard last year of compost and used that very quickly.
That's a lot.
It was quite a lot, but on the farm it doesn't go very far. I've started trying to compost in place more now, using the chop and drop, because anybody who's made a cubic yard of compost will know you spend an inordinately long time turning the compost, making sure that you're putting the outside on the inside and the top on the bottom, and making sure it's all mixed up and composting evenly so you don't have cold spots where you get weed seeds. And that's a lot of work, and that's quite valuable time to me. So I've now started doing a lot more composting in place, allowing the chickens to scratch around old beds and eat and then poop the vegetables, and then leaving that for a while with a cover crop and then replanting into that. Simply for the time. I have got a compost pile, but I'm ashamed to say I haven't turned it yet this year. It's just sat there as a compost pile. It's a cold compost pile. More
I don't turn mine either. It's cold compost and lazy, and that's the way it's going to be. There is no time in my day where I have time to be flipping and turning compost. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. any kind of reality. Robin Garden mentions as Maureen, who is on Diva in the Dirt. She calls what she does poo-poo juice, what she takes out of that. So, yes. I just want to say, just while we're in this section, I see that the comments are super lively, and I really want to say, so good on all of you helping each other. You're talking about specific pest issues, pest remedies, helping each other, providing each other with like different remedies, different suggestions. I really am here for it. Capers Farm is saying, my weeds tell me that I'm on the edge of an old rock pit and are telling me that I need raised beds. Well, thank you for that, weed. That's their communication for you. But people are discussing all kinds of different things, trying to help each other out. They're talking about potato beetles, solutions for it. As usual, Serena's doing jokes for us, which is really fantastic. People talking about getting rid of pests in different ways. Some of the ways that people are discussing getting rid of pests, we have to be a little careful of, because YouTube has some rules about using the, how do I put it? The pew pew device. We're not allowed to discuss that on YouTube. So don't come at me, bro. That's YouTube's rules, not mine. So we have to be a little careful about saying that within here. But yes, everybody's got all kinds of great solutions for each other. I'm just going to go back to your pictures, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, people, I'm not super smooth with this. Oh, this is something that I am going to go for. We're going to go in the field, back to the greens again, and then we have some nice indoor pictures. So,
yes.
Back to this. So this is beautiful.
This is one of my green manure. So this is Phacelia. And I love it because it gives nectar for so long. So it starts all curled up, and it flowers off the top, and as the flowers are fed on and fertilized, pollinated and used, it uncurls, and you end up with really long stems. It looks like longer stems with the flowers on the top, and then when it's finished, its flower spikes are upright, and you can tell it's finished. You can either pick it, and deadhead it, and throw them on the compost before it produces mature seed, or you can leave it to go to seed, which I tend to do in some areas, and it will pop back up the next year. And bees in particular love it, but it attracts the hoverflies and lacewings as well. I've noticed ladybugs on it today. This morning, actually, I was like, oh, I didn't know ladybugs like Phacelia, but there they were crawling over it today. And it's really pretty. And if you plant it at the same time as your crops, you can actually grow your crops among it. I quite often grow corn among my Phacelia. Wow. And there are actually some pumpkins crawling around underneath that as well, which will take over eventually when it gets chopped and dropped.
The new three sisters. Corn, squash, and Cecilia.
What I find with the three sisters in the UK is sometimes there's not enough sunshine. You don't get pumpkins on the vines as much in the UK. Last year I grew my pumpkins next to my sweet corn and allowed the tendrils to run through, but anything run through under the corn didn't have fruit on. I just had fruit next to the corn patch, if that makes sense.
So relating to pictures, I'm going to show an indoor picture now. And look,
I forgot to send that one.
Wow.
So this is my concerted effort to dry herbs for tea. So there are two types of mint there. There's some sage there, and obviously the calendula.
Okay.
There are more further along the beam, but I couldn't get them all in.
The shot.
So thyme and oregano and dill and bronze fennel as well, hung up beyond that.
And the next picture I'm going to show is also inside, and I apologize for those of you who have not had lunch because I'm going to be making you hungry.
Yeah, so this is just why we do it. I love this picture. I wasn't expecting the inside of these beetroot to be so pretty. That actually got roasted and then turned into a soup. But yeah, I was really thrilled with these beetroot. And I can't remember. I can look up the variety at some point and let people know that. But yeah, its flavor is much less intense than a beetroot. Like sometimes a beetroot is a really heavy flavor, but this one was much lighter and sweeter. And yes, everybody enjoys those.
And we're just going to do one final photo in the series. And what are we seeing?
So that is another patch of cover crop. That's actually my brain it's not working. Clover, and it got really tall. It was almost 2 feet tall. It was way above my knee. It did have some dandelions and thistles among it, which I've dug out. I chopped and dropped it, and then it's been covered with cardboard and compost around some things that are perennial in there. And that's, to build the soil.
Wow, fantastic. I really am so glad that you provided some of these pictures, because that allows us to see and discuss, in a visual sense, what's going on in different elements of your garden. And I so appreciate it. I'm just going to go back to the comments again and just catch up to some of what people are saying. We so appreciate how active and busy you guys have been in there. And just a reminder that if you want to get my attention, the @ and my name, which is Ecology Today, or using all capitals makes it so much easier for me to see, because you guys have been so active and fantastic in the chat that to keep up, I cannot do it, but I will try to select out different comments. And here is someone commenting about the beets. Robin Gardens is saying, I was
going to say,
pardon my pronunciation, I will try Chioggia.
That's how I would have said it.
Kitchen. Yeah.
They don't. They're brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that is the ones that's what I grew.
And Dusty Flats is saying Chioggia beets are eye candy and taste great. And Kelpie Capers Farm is saying it looks like Chioggia beets. So it looks like there's a few people. And here is the artistic point of view. Rob Zadek is saying it looks like a stick of seaside rock. I sometimes do the types of vegetables that you showed there and more as what they call sheet pan cooking here. That basically you take, a large baking sheet and you spread that stuff out and just cook it. And stuff that you typically wouldn't eat as a roasted vegetable can sometimes just be amazing. I mean, even stuff like radish is just delicious as a sheet pan roasted vegetable. And some of the things you might have been hesitant, it seems to caramelize and sweeten up the stuff by that method. I'm not an excellent cook, but I'm just saying, as an amateur lazy cook, it's a great way to get a really nice meal.
It's a great way to use your oven twice. If you're cooking a roast with a tray of vegetables anyway, put 2 trays in, and then you've got a second tray, and it just brings out all the flavors and makes a vegetable soup amazing. And if you pop some water in your pot with your chicken, you've also got chicken stock to use as a base, which is also really delicious too.
Yes. And I see people are continuing on to answer each other's questions and solve each other's problems. And I am so appreciative that our community is that for each other. And going back to something we'd said earlier, Rob Scatic, I have never and will never turn compost heaps. Rob, you're our friend.
Wise man. Wise man.
We have that. Yes. Okay. So
but the worms do it for you. If you chop and drop and spread it, the worms do it for you.
Yes. Well, I'm I'm pretty lazy in my composting methods. I'm pretty lazy in most of my gardening. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm purposefully trying to plan so that as I become more disabled and elderly and all that kind of thing, I'm trying to essentially future-proof my gardens so I'm not rebuilding things and reconstructing and doing more unnecessary or annoying work than I have to. So, what does that make me? That makes me either lazy or wise. I'm not sure what. I'll take whatever it is.
I'm just in denial. Nothing of mine is going to work into old age, and I've like, oh no. But
So
yeah,
here's Robin churning with a corkscrew. She's got a corkscrew method of churning it. Yes. So that's something I might consider doing. It's just, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting old and various different disabilities and stuff, and just life is a challenge, and different elements of it. I'm trying to eliminate the unnecessary or the annoying and get on to mostly the pleasurable parts of gardening. And I'm oh, and here we go. Robin is saying, Jay, not elderly. Repeat, not elderly. Well, I'm in my 60s, and you talk to a teenager about how I am, and they'll set you straight.
my children started calling me old in my 30s. They're so old. You're so old. I'm like, thanks. You'll be my age too soon.
Too dry in most areas. This is from Dusty Flats, which is talking to the name. Too dry in most areas here for worms to survive. In the clay beds, there are worms. Okay. And here's Rob saying, Rob is saying, turning compost is wasting time to me. Just take it from the bottom of the pile. Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. You have to decide at a certain age of your diminishing energy and how much hurts and stuff like that, what is worth your time and energy. And I still love gardening. I still love many aspects of it, but I'm triaging away some of the unnecessary or difficult parts. And so let's see. So here's Texas Organic TV saying, at Jaybot, I sure hear you. I'm learning to do less work. Yes. I just honestly have only so much energy to pursue things, and I still want to have a vivid, interesting, contributing life. But the pot of how much energy I have in a day is getting smaller and smaller as I age, and I have to decide who and what activities are worth my energy. And it's still, I want to have a vivid, interesting life. I want to contribute and help individuals in my community in different ways, but I have to decide what's worth it and what has to be let go. And turning compost on a regular basis is a let go for me, and I doubt that's going to change.
Yeah, I mean the thing for me with the studying permaculture is we're trying to mimic nature. I don't know about you, but I haven't ever seen any woodland animals or forest animals turning compost piles. I haven't seen anywhere in nature that mechanism working. And so I'm moving across, firstly because it's flipping hard work. I'm moving across more to like deep litter, letting the worms do it, copying nature. And all else fails, I just get a big truck with 15 tons of compost to rock up.
So I've had a few people say things about me not being old and stuff like that. And I am sort of kidding, but I'm sort of not, is I have a number of disabilities. So that basically, and I know this isn't technically true, but it kind of prematurely ages me and diminishes my energy levels and what I can focus on. So it's less of me being chronologically old and more of just being realistic about what my body is capable of at this stage. And I still want to have joy and fun and seasons in the sun. Please don't come at me for that, YouTube. But I want to have that in my life. So I'm moving away some of the stuff that ain't so much fun. And so Texas Organic TV is saying here, can't sling 40-pound bags of anything over my shoulder anymore. Yeah, I'm 5'2", and I used to sling one over each shoulder or double bags and carry them. And I've developed a hernia. And
Oops.
how could that be? Yeah, might have been something that, could I blame somebody else for that? Perhaps not. But it was actually relatively easy for me to do that, and sometimes to transport things. That's what I used to do when I ran a landscaping business. I mean, if it's rough terrain and you don't have reasonable options, how are you going to move 150 bags of mulch, you know? And sometimes because of the structure and the function of the garden I was in, there wasn't a reasonable option. So all of a sudden, that's how I'm slinging them. So,
And it's definitely worth thinking about. I mean, even from the point of view, is what would you do if you injured yourself temporarily? You know, people sprain ankles and break limbs, as awful as it is. How do you then adapt and keep your garden in order in those times? And even though I'm really fit and healthy and quite young, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I could work a 12-hour day and go to bed and wake up the next morning and do it again. Now, if I did a 12-hour day, I'd take 2 or 3 days to feel like I was human again. Not because I'm not capable of doing it, but because it just saps a lot of energy. I'm in my 50s, so I just don't have the same amount of energy I had 20 or 30 years ago. It's just a fact of life. And you do have to just bear in mind, you know, what if I had a car accident? What if, you know, you've got to bear these things in mind and come up with solutions.
So I look at myself as sort of a pragmatist or a realist, and I just look at how much is that energy pot of what I've got. How much level of pain am I willing to put myself in short term, medium term, long term? And that's changed as the years have gone by. And some of it, really unfortunately, I must blame on myself and not other people. So I'm just going to go back to some notes again. Thanks so much for the comments here in the audience. We so appreciate this. I think what I'm going to do next is, because we're already running out of time, I have a whole pile of questions that I could potentially be asking Joe, but we only have a limited time and energy. So what that's going to mean is that sometime in the future, we're going to have to ask Joe back, because I've prepared all these questions and they must get utilized somehow. Gardeners, you know, the time and effort you spend in making a vegetable, that the idea that it would go to waste rather than be fully used is a little bit of a pang, at least in my heart, of I took 10 weeks to grow that, or I took 20 weeks to grow that. The idea that me or someone else would waste that is like, not a good feeling. Look at the time and effort and money I put at that. Want it in good use. So I have a whole load of questions, but not enough time for us to cover all of them, but lots of different categories and stuff. But what I'm going to do is talk about a quick fire round. And this is a callback to Monday night shows that we will be going back to. So I'm just going to get you to say quickly your first thought that comes to mind with these. And no pressure, no timer, no tick, 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 tick. But we're just going to quickly go through some of these, and then I'm going to do a little wrap up talking about future shows. So, quick fire round here is your favorite vegetable.
Oh, peas.
Peas. Yay! Is that going to be peas that you open up, or you know,
all of them?
All peas. All peas.
All of them.
Your least favorite gardening job?
Oh, totally the compost.
I'm with you on that one. This one's going to be an easy one, I think. Okay, based on discussions we've had. Tea or coffee?
Tea. Of course, tea.
Very good. Tea. Yes. Hand tools or power tools?
Hand tools.
Yes. Yes. Me too. People actually make fun of that for some of what I do. I would rather take twice the amount of time, unless I'm physically in pain or unable, to have a quiet, peaceful sweep rather than turn on my leaf blower of and disturb the whole neighborhood, someone with a migraine, crying baby in the background. I get that they're effective and all that, but I would rather peacefully and quietly just sweep the area and not get all noise affected. So yeah. Well, currently this is what your situation is, but maybe there's still a different preference. Raised beds are in ground.
Or in ground.
Okay. Yes. Because you're improving the soil where it is. Yes.
And you're not limited space wise.
Okay. Yep.
You just get big potato patch.
Okay.
Lots of produce.
Just a couple more. Compost or manure?
Oh, toss up hard. I go manure.
Okay.
Easy accessible for me.
Yes. Yeah, she has little friends that are constantly doing that for her. Hooray. Seed sowing or harvesting?
Harvesting. That's why we sow the seeds. Got to be harvesting.
Yes. I like the optimism of the seed sowing in the spring. Like I still have the energy and the vision, and it's all going to go well, and there shall be no pests and there shall be no disease, and I'm not going to make a mistake and back up and crush a plant or accidentally make bad judgment about what cucumber plants should be or not be, you know?
I find it hard because I link them. So my harvest and sowing day are the same. Like something comes out, something goes in. So to me, they're kind of linked. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, you haven't got anything to harvest yet, but they're still linked in my mind and my gardening schedule. Otherwise, you get to a certain point in the year and you go, oh, I've got nothing coming up to harvest. What went wrong?
Well, one of my frustrations now as I'm, please, everybody, no, don't come at me in the comments, but as I'm aging and have less energy and becoming more disabled, is harvest time. I grabbed it all up and I am achy and dead tired. So I don't know who's going to be processing to freeze can, dehydrate all this stuff because I'm too tired for it. So I need, I don't know. Is this asking too much? A free food preserver who will process all my stuff? Is that too much to ask for? Yeah, that would be really good. Could pickling, please? A little pickling. That would be nice. Yes. Yes.
I suggest that to my husband. He's gone, I think I would prefer to have chutneys. And I'm like, it's gone from a quick process to an afternoon.
Yes. I'm just going to do a couple more. One crop everyone should grow.
Beans. Just because there's so many calories, so much protein in it, anyone can grow them. They're almost idiot-proof. And you can grow them in a container. You can grow them in a garden. You grow them on a balcony.
So versatile.
Saves so much money.
Dry. Yeah, there's ones you can dry and preserve. There's ones you can eat fresh.
Save your seeds for next year.
Nutrition that comes in them. Yeah. Really good. And I'm going to do the last one of this quick round and then one closing question. One gardening myth that you'd like to ban forever.
Some people just have a green thumb.
Okay.
Because anyone can do it. And even if somebody has shown you their amazing garden all the time, if they say they're brilliant at everything all the time, they're hiding all their disasters.
So in closing, I want to thank you so much for the time that you spent with us today, shared your expertise, gave us insights to your life and your garden. I so appreciate it. I'm going to leave you with just sort of one closing thought or question for all of us that would be really nice. Before I let you go, I'm just letting people know to check out Jo's Muddy Puddles Farm. She does informational videos, she does shorts, she does live streams. They're mostly scheduled, but sometimes life means she has to take a little break from them occasionally. But she does let us know what's going on and communicates so well, and she prepares her live streams so that they are educational and informative for us. And I really appreciate the efforts that you make to do that for us. So one last closing question is, if you were to give the people here in our audience, or will come up on the replay, one thing that they could do soon in the next few days or weeks to improve their garden, what would you tell them to do? Just one change of an effort of something they may do.
Oh, for years I've always said include water somewhere in your garden, moving water so you don't get the mosquitoes, but include water because it brings in so many beneficials. Even a small amount of water, you're going to get birds, eat beetles and bugs. You're going to get somewhere for the bees to drink. You're going to get dragonflies, maybe. Frogs and toads will inhabit quite small bodies of water. All these things are brilliant. They're supporting the wildlife and they're going to consume a lot of your pests and bugs, and water in a garden is underrated. And every time I get a garden of any sort, any size, the first thing I do is put in a rainwater catchment for the wildlife.
Super. That wasn't the question. That wasn't the answer I expected, and I so
no. I know, but I like my water. I've got my bathtub pond in the corner. No, the other one I would have said was mulching, but I think mulch, keep mulching. But I think people forget the water is really important.
Okay, well, I'm going to thank you for another time for taking your time to be with us, sharing your expertise, giving us some insights about the things that you've learned so far on your journey to creating Muddy Puddles Farm. We so appreciate it. I encourage everybody to check out links to her channel here on YouTube and to check out the different resources I mentioned that she offers. I'm going to just do some closing stuff. So I'm going to just give us a quick ad break. And then if people could stick around, we're having a really excellent show tomorrow. You don't want to miss out on it. That Enix will be presenting. So please stick around for a little while. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. Wow. So that was quite the comprehensive interview. I am so thrilled that she was with us. I'm just going to do a quick ad break and then we'll be back to talk about what else will be going on in our shows in the near future. So just a moment here. So I'm just going to do a quick break. If everybody could stick around, I will just promote next week's show, tomorrow's show. Sorry about that. Yes. Great. So we're going to be discussing tomorrow's show. Just a reminder that we are here on Saturdays and Sundays, same time, same place. Let me just take that off. There we go. So there am I. My name is Jay Dixon. I am temporarily replacing Enoch as the host just for today. There's occasions where I also am taking part for him. But in the meantime, I just want to make sure that you guys don't miss on this because we have a superstar appearing for us tomorrow. And that is John Kohler. Are you kidding me? We are getting John Kohler from Growing Your Greens on tomorrow as our special guest with Enoch. He has been on our show before. He is a friend of the show. And if you know anything about John Kohler, he is extraordinarily enthusiastic about growing your own greens and nutrients. And he can tell us more about his most recent adventures. So thank you so much for joining us today. We so appreciate you. I'm just going to go back to the comments again before we close out the show. just a quick reminder as I go through those comments that it is America's birthday today. Happy birthday to the USA. And I am so glad that you have taken your time to join us. So here's a comment from Rob Zadek. I did some bad things and regret it, but I learned from those things. And isn't that more or less one of the lessons of life, as well as the lessons in the garden? So here's a question here, Serena. So is Joe back again tomorrow? That's what it said on the screen. No, that was me being tardy, taking away her title. It is John Kohler who is going to be here tomorrow, as I showed there. And he is a super influential person in the garden world. And we so appreciate him taking the time to come with us. So Enoch will be back tomorrow. And here's a comment relating to what I had said earlier. Texas Organic TV. I used to tell my husband I need a wife. Yeah, I'm not necessarily gender-based. I just want any person who will help take some of the workload off the part of gardening, especially the part that's a little bit tiring. I just find it hard at the end of the day, all those fantastic things that I've created with my own work, my own knowledge and efforts, and then having the energy, especially with things like canning and pickling and stuff like that, all the processes to do them correctly in the right temperatures and methods so that it is truly safe, and to do it like operating like hot boiling water and all the containment and stuff, where there's not a whole lot of reason, you got to do it correctly. And when I'm really fatigued, it's a bit of a thing. So okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I so appreciate the time that you've taken with us. Just a reminder, we are here Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to be here on, sorry about that. We're going to be here Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We so appreciate Team Replay for being here with us in the future. And a reminder that we would like you to join us after the stream by leaving a comment or let us know what's going on. Joining in the conversation by making those comments. Other things that you can do to help support us is to like, subscribe, and share. We are also urging you to support our sponsor, which is IV Organics. And we so appreciate the time you've had with us. Thank you very much, everybody. And I hope to see you here tomorrow. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not as smooth at this as Enoch is. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
This is the ugliest plant in the world, but I love it.